Dubai is definitely an interesting place, a polarizing place for many people. Dubai represents for me. Throughout my life, I've been obsessed with one thing, and that is growth.
Something is happening in Dubai. Behind the glittering lights and towering skyline, cracks are forming that few dare to speak about. Whispers of collapse grow louder, and the truth may be far more terrifying than anyone imagined. Is the desert's shining jewel standing on the edge of its darkest chapter? The question is, how long before the dream turns into a nightmare? From desert village to dazzling metropolis. Just a few decades ago, Dubai was far from the glittering skyline that dominates today's horizon. It was a modest fishing village with fewer than 60,000 residents, where daily life revolved around pearl diving, trading across the Gulf, and surviving the harsh desert climate. Simple mud brick homes and bustling souks were the defining features of the community, and the pace of life was steady, shaped by tradition and necessity. Few could have imagined that this small settlement would one day be spoken of in the same breath as New York, London, or Hong Kong. The turning point arrived in the 1960s with the discovery of oil. Unlike many other regions that became heavily dependent on petroleum, Dubai's leadership took a different approach. Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum saw oil as a finite resource and a temporary blessing. His vision was to use its revenue not as an endless lifeline, but as a launchpad for transformation. With determination, he directed oil wealth into building the foundations of a modern city. Roads, ports, and airports were prioritized, creating the arteries through which future commerce and tourism would flow. As the years passed, the impact of this forward-thinking plan became evident. The old world of wooden boats and pearl divers slowly gave way to steel, glass, and concrete. Traditional neighborhoods began to shrink as massive construction projects took shape. The dusty coastline where fishermen once gathered was reshaped into sprawling harbors capable of receiving cargo from across the world. Dubai International Airport became a hub not only for the region, but for the entire globe, eventually transforming into one of the busiest airports in the world. This drive toward modernity was not limited to functionality. Dubai wanted to impress, and it wanted the world to notice. Skyscrapers pierced the sky, each taller and more extravagant than the last, symbolizing ambition and innovation. The desert sands, once thought inhospitable, were reshaped into man-made marvels. Artificial islands like the Palm Jumeirah extended into the Persian Gulf, a feat of engineering that drew attention and investment. These creations were more than real estate projects. They were statements of intent, designed to show that Dubai was no longer a quiet outpost, but a stage for global ambition. What made Dubai's rise even more remarkable was its ability to position itself as a bridge between East and West. Strategically located, it became a natural meeting point for business leaders, tourists, and traders from every corner of the world. Its tax-free policies and welcoming stance toward international investment drew companies eager to tap into emerging markets. Luxury hotels and shopping malls catered to global elites, while cultural festivals and sporting events helped brand Dubai as a cosmopolitan hub. Within a single generation, the city had managed to rewrite its identity, moving from obscurity to international recognition. Tourism became one of its strongest pillars. Visitors came to marvel at its futuristic skyline, its lavish malls, and its larger-than-life attractions. The city's ability to blend tradition with modernity created a unique allure. The old markets still stood, filled with gold and spices, but just steps away towered glass giants like the Burj Khalifa. This contrast fascinated outsiders and reinforced Dubai's image as a land of possibility, where the past and future could exist side by side. The speed of this growth astonished the world. Few cities had ever experienced such a rapid transformation. In the span of just a few decades, Dubai went from obscurity to becoming a destination that symbolized luxury, ambition, and progress. It marketed itself as a place where dreams could come true, where anyone with vision and capital could participate in its extraordinary experiment. Investors poured in, expatriates flocked to its shores, and Dubai embraced its role as a beacon of modern development. The same city that became known for luxury and opportunity also began to reveal signs of deeper problems. Let's tell you what was hiding inside. Supercars, debt, and the shadow economy. One of the strangest and most haunting sights in Dubai is not its glittering skyline or record-breaking towers, but the quiet rows of luxury cars gathering dust.
A lot of people talk about abandoned supercars in Dubai. This is where damaged supercars or cars that have been confiscated by the police or abandoned supercars.
Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and Porsches sit motionless in airport parking lots, abandoned in desert sand or hidden away in storage facilities. Many of them remain in excellent condition, some with the keys still in the ignition, as though their owners simply walked away. For outsiders, the question is obvious. Why would anyone abandon such treasures? The answer lies in the unforgiving debt laws that shape life in the United Arab Emirates. Unlike in most countries, where bankruptcy is treated as a civil matter and individuals are given the opportunity to rebuild, in Dubai, defaulting on a loan or failing to repay debts is a criminal offense. Those who cannot meet their financial obligations face prison sentences. There is no system for debt forgiveness, and no safe legal path for restructuring what is owed. For many expatriates and investors, a business failure or personal financial setback can quickly spiral into a legal crisis. Rather than face imprisonment, countless expatriates choose to flee the country in haste. Some leave late at night, taking only what they can carry, while others disappear so quickly they do not even collect their final belongings. The cars, bought during better times as symbols of success, are often the first things abandoned. Their value becomes irrelevant when compared with the urgency of escaping arrest. An expensive Ferrari parked at the airport becomes just another casualty of a system where even small financial mistakes can have devastating consequences. These abandoned vehicles are not rare exceptions. They are the byproducts of Dubai's high-risk economic environment. During times of growth, individuals are encouraged to invest in property, luxury goods, and ambitious ventures. Banks extend loans easily, and car dealerships thrive on financing deals that allow young professionals and business owners to drive dream machines. But when markets shift, property values fall, or businesses collapse, those same assets turn into liabilities. Without a safety net, people vanish, leaving behind not just their investments, but also their prized vehicles. Over time, the phenomenon has grown so large that entire lots filled with abandoned supercars have become infamous worldwide. Tourists, photographers, and journalists visit these supercar graveyards, fascinated by the sight of millions of dollars worth of machinery rusting in the desert sun. Online videos of dusty Lamborghinis and forgotten Bentleys reinforce the image of Dubai as a place where luxury is so common that it can be discarded like trash. Ironically, what began as an embarrassing display of financial collapse has now been absorbed into Dubai's strange brand of tourism, with abandoned wealth becoming another attraction in the city's narrative. These cars are more than symbols of extravagance gone wrong. They represent the lives and dreams of those who believed in Dubai's promise, but found themselves trapped by its system. Many who abandoned their cars were not reckless spenders, but entrepreneurs, professionals, or middle-class workers who took risks in a city that rewards success, but punishes failure without mercy. Each car tells a story of ambition, collapse, and flight. The abandoned supercars also expose how fragile Dubai's economic model can be. Because the city relies heavily on foreign workers and investors, downturns often spark sudden departures. When the global financial crisis hit in 2008, or when oil prices fluctuated, thousands of expatriates left Dubai in panic. And if abandoned supercars reveal the fragility of Dubai's financial system, another beautiful site in Dubai exposes an even deeper flaw and its costly battle with nature itself. Mega projects versus Mother Nature. Among the many spectacles that define Dubai, few are as breathtaking as the Miracle Garden. Spread across 72,000 square meters, this floral wonder boasts 50 million flowers arranged in dazzling patterns, from heart-shaped arches to elaborate sculptures. A life-sized Airbus A380 covered entirely in blossoms and towering Disney figures made of petals have even earned Guinness World Records. For visitors, the garden appears to be a paradise carved out of the desert, proof of human ingenuity and ambition. Yet beneath its colorful charm lies a troubling reality. Maintaining 50 million flowers in one of the harshest climates on Earth is no small feat. In a region where summer temperatures soar beyond 50 degrees Celsius, the garden cannot survive year-round. It closes for several months each year, reopening only in the cooler season. During its operational months, the garden consumes millions of liters of desalinated water daily to keep the flowers alive. In a land where water scarcity is already a critical issue, this demand places enormous strain on natural resources. Desalination provides the water that sustains the garden, but this process is energy-intensive and contributes heavily to carbon emissions. Each flower that blooms represents not only beauty, but also a significant environmental cost. The garden must be replanted every season, which involves importing millions of flowers and tons of soil from abroad. Shipments travel thousands of kilometers to reach Dubai, further adding to the carbon footprint of what many see as a fleeting attraction.
The 10th edition of Miracle Garden is now open to the public. And what's new? Well, I'm standing right here at the Smurf Village. Yes, that is what is new this year.
The Miracle Garden thus becomes a symbol of Dubai's larger development model. The city has mastered the art of creating spectacles that capture the world's imagination, but often without addressing long-term sustainability. The beauty of the garden lasts for months, but its environmental impact stretches far longer. In an ecologically fragile region where water and energy should be preserved carefully, pouring resources into a short-lived attraction raises serious questions. Sustainability concerns are not limited to the Miracle Garden. Another striking example is Ski Dubai, the indoor ski resort housed inside the Mall of the Emirates. Covering 22,500 square meters, Ski Dubai offers snow slopes, a snowboard park, and even live penguins transported from Antarctica. While tourists marvel at skiing in the desert, the facility demands immense energy to maintain sub-zero temperatures year-round. Outside, the desert bakes in 45-degree heat, while inside, artificial snowflakes fall continuously. Producing snow in the desert requires vast amounts of desalinated water and electricity. Each flake is manufactured in a facility where resources are consumed as if nature's limits do not exist. The penguins, displayed as a novelty, endure artificial lighting, restricted space, and constant human interaction, raising ethical questions about their well-being. Much like the Miracle Garden, Ski Dubai represents a defiance of natural boundaries, prioritizing spectacle over responsibility. Both attractions reveal a recurring pattern. Dubai often seeks to impress by creating marvels that defy the environment. But this comes at an extraordinary cost. The Miracle Garden consumes water and energy on an unsustainable scale, while Ski Dubai uses electricity equivalent to that required to power thousands of homes. These projects may dazzle in the short term, but they deepen long-term vulnerabilities. In a world increasingly focused on sustainability and climate change, such extravagance risks becoming symbols of excess rather than achievement. The challenges posed by these mega-projects are not limited to the environment. The Miracle Garden must be redesigned every year, demanding more imports and more investment. Ski Dubai must keep its machines running day and night, regardless of how many people visit. In both cases, the projects reveal a city locked in a cycle of spectacle-driven development that treats resources as unlimited and consequences as secondary. Dubai's boldness in reshaping the desert has won it global fame, but it has also drawn criticism for ignoring ecological realities. As climate change accelerates, rising temperatures and worsening water shortages will make such ventures even harder to sustain. What today stands as a symbol of ambition may tomorrow be remembered as an example of unsustainable extravagance. But environmental strain is only one side. Dubai's very population structure carries its own ticking time bomb. A city built by outsiders. Only about 15% of Dubai residents are Emirati citizens, while an overwhelming 85% are expatriates. This imbalance has shaped the city's growth, but also created a fragile foundation for its future. Dubai's transformation into a global hub has been fueled not by its native population, but by millions of outsiders who arrived seeking opportunity, yet were never meant to stay permanently. The majority of these workers come from South Asia. Indians make up the largest community, with nearly 900,000 residents, followed closely by Pakistanis, Egyptians, and other groups from across the region. They build the skyscrapers, pave the roads, clean the hotels, and staff the restaurants. For many, Dubai is not a home, but a temporary station in life, a place to earn money before eventually returning to their countries of origin. Their role is essential to Dubai's functioning, yet they remain outsiders in every legal and cultural sense. Unlike in countries where years of residence can lead to citizenship, in Dubai, the door is firmly closed. Expatriates, no matter how long they have lived in the city, cannot obtain citizenship. Their rights are limited, their residency tied strictly to their employment contracts. A job loss can mean deportation, even for individuals who have lived in Dubai for decades. This creates a workforce that sustains the city, but holds no permanent stake in its future. This structure provides clear benefits for Emirati citizens who enjoy broad state support and privileges. Education, healthcare, and housing subsidies are generously provided for the native population. Yet the system creates a permanent underclass, with expatriates forming the backbone of the economy without sharing in its protections. Domestic workers, construction laborers, and service staff often face long hours, low wages, and little recourse if mistreated. They are both essential and invisible, expected to keep the city running while remaining excluded from its identity. The model has worked during times of prosperity, but it leaves Dubai vulnerable to external shocks. When the global financial crisis struck in 2008, thousands of expatriates fled almost overnight. Businesses closed, construction projects stalled, and luxury developments stood half-finished. The sudden departure of workers revealed how dependent the city was on a transient population. Without them, basic services and infrastructure struggled. This pattern could easily repeat if future crises hit. A decline in tourism, a drop in oil wealth from neighboring states, or new restrictions on labor migration could all trigger another exodus, leaving Dubai's grand projects without the people needed to sustain them. Beyond economics, this imbalance also shapes Dubai's cultural identity. The constant churn of people means that the city lacks a cohesive long-term society. Unlike cities that evolve gradually, blending generations of residents into a shared culture, Dubai feels more like a hotel than a home. Its festivals, cuisines, and neighborhoods reflect its diversity, but not permanence. While this multiculturalism creates vibrancy, it also prevents the formation of a unified identity. Many expatriates live in Dubai for years without feeling rooted, knowing that they may eventually be required to leave. For the Emiratis themselves, this imbalance raises challenges as well. Their small numbers mean that they live in a city where the majority do not share their heritage or traditions. Policies aim to preserve Emirati culture, but global influences dominate daily life. English has become the common language, international brands dominate the malls, and imported customs often overshadow local practices. Dubai markets itself as a cosmopolitan hub, but this comes at the cost of diluting the sense of belonging for its native citizens. The long-term question is whether such a model can remain sustainable. A city where most residents are temporary cannot easily build lasting communities or social resilience. Transient populations may fuel economic growth, but they also limit the potential for shared identity and collective responsibility. If global conditions shift, Dubai risks becoming a place defined not by stability, but by flux. Just as Dubai's population imbalance exposes its fragile foundations, its landscape of half-finished islands and idle attractions reveals another truth. The city's fall is beginning. Dreams that crumbled. For years, Dubai captured the world's imagination with bold promises and breathtaking announcements. Headlines declared the arrival of new wonders, man-made islands shaped like palm trees, theme parks that would dwarf Disney, and attractions that could not be found anywhere else on Earth. The desert was transformed into a stage where ambition knew no limits. But behind the fanfare and grand unveilings, many of these dreams never reached completion. Today, the remnants of those projects stand as stark reminders that even in a city built on vision and spectacle, not everything can withstand the test of reality. Among the most striking examples are Dubai's artificial islands. When first revealed, the Palm Jumeirah, Palm Daira, and the World Archipelago were presented as engineering miracles that would redefine luxury living. Built with over 100 million cubic meters of sand and rock, these islands were designed to host villas, hotels, and resorts for the global elite.
Is this 11-kilometer breakwater crescent. Lined with 5-star hotels, this protective halo has 2 openings either side that allows the famously clear blue waters to flow with the tide.
From space, their shapes were visible, an unmistakable sign that Dubai had mastered the art of bending nature to its will. Yet, the price of this defiance was immense. Environmental damage soon became apparent. The construction destroyed coral reefs and disrupted marine ecosystems, while altered water flows caused stagnation and erosion. The Gulf's natural balance was disturbed, and repairing the damage proved nearly impossible. At the same time, the financial model behind these islands began to crumble. When the global economic crisis hit in 2008, buyers pulled out, investments dried up, and entire sections of the World Archipelago were left deserted. Some islands even began sinking back into the sea, turning what was once a symbol of triumph into an eerie landscape of half-finished shores. If the islands reveal the environmental and financial toll of unchecked ambition, Dubai Land illustrates how grand visions can simply fade away. Announced in 2003 with promises of becoming the world's largest amusement complex, Dubai Land was supposed to be twice the size of Walt Disney World. It was meant to attract families from across the globe, featuring dozens of theme parks, shopping centers, resorts. and even residential communities. The estimated cost exceeded $60 billion, and construction began with confidence. Yet, 20 years later, the dream remains largely incomplete. The financial crash of 2008 froze much of the project, and although parts of Dubai land were later revived in smaller forms, the full vision never came to life. Some sections opened briefly before shutting down, while others were redesigned again and again without reaching completion. Today, Dubai land stands as a scattered collection of attractions rather than the cohesive wonderland it was meant to be. Its failure highlights a recurring issue. The eagerness to announce the biggest project in the world often outpaces the practical ability to deliver it. Even when projects are completed, sustainability remains uncertain. AIM Dubai, also known as Ain Dubai, was launched as the tallest observation wheel on the planet, towering over Blue Waters Island. It was celebrated as another record-breaking addition to the skyline, offering sweeping views of the Gulf. Yet within a short time, operations halted. Safety certifications were withdrawn, and in 2023, an indefinite closure was announced. Today, the massive wheel stands idle, glowing only with LED lights at night, more a monument to halted ambition than a symbol of progress. Dubai has built its reputation on making the impossible possible, yet many of its boldest ventures have ended in silence. These unfinished or abandoned projects reveal the risk of prioritizing spectacle over stability. They remind the world that ambition alone cannot guarantee success, and that growth built on constant reinvention may falter when faced with economic downturns or environmental limits. Dubai's dream of rewriting what a city can be has dazzled millions, but its landscape of crumbling projects also raises questions about how much longer this model can hold. If that's not enough, even the jewels that did get completed, like the Burj Khalifa, hide stories of dependence and desperation. Towers, taxes, and tensions. Few landmarks capture Dubai's ambition better than the Burj Khalifa. Rising 828 meters above the desert, it is the tallest structure on Earth, a gleaming spear of steel and glass that embodies the city's desire to prove it can outshine the world. Construction began in 2004, and by the time it opened in 2010, the tower had already become an icon. Yet behind the triumph lies a story of financial dependence and hidden fragility. Even the Burj Khalifa itself was not immune to global financial crisis of 2008. The project came close to being abandoned when funding dried up. It was only saved by Abu Dhabi, the oil-rich capital of the United Arab Emirates, which stepped in with billions in bailout money. In recognition of that lifeline, the tower's name was changed from Burj Dubai to Burj Khalifa, honoring Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE's president at the time. The renaming was more than symbolic. It exposed Dubai's vulnerability, showing that even its greatest achievement depended on external rescue. Another example of this fragility is the Dubai Frame, a 150-meter structure in Zabil Park designed to frame the city's past and future. On one side, visitors see the older neighborhoods, while the other side showcases the modern skyline. The concept is poetic, but the execution became controversial. The original architect, Fernando Donis, won the design competition but later accused Dubai of using his intellectual property without proper credit or payment. The dispute cast a shadow over what should have been a unifying landmark, turning it into a reminder of how spectacle often takes precedence over fairness. Critics also point out that the $150 million spent on the frame could have addressed real urban needs such as housing or transportation instead of creating yet another tourist attraction with little practical function. Financial policy has also begun to shift in ways that reveal the city's tightening margins. For decades, Dubai marketed itself as a tax-free haven, a magnet for global businesses and wealthy expatriates. This promise helped drive its meteoric growth. Yet in June 2023, the United Arab Emirates introduced a corporate tax of 9% on profits, ending the era of absolute tax freedom.
The new corporate tax will come into effect on June the 1st, 2023. Tax rate. The tax rate will be 9%. Taxpayers. The new corporate tax will apply to all businesses that are incorporated in the UAE.
Though modest compared to global standards, the decision signaled a profound change. It showed that existing revenue streams were no longer enough to fund Dubai's ambitious projects and day-to-day operations. For some businesses, the new tax eroded Dubai's unique appeal, prompting questions about whether the city could maintain its competitive edge. Infrastructure projects also reveal the gap between spectacle and reality. The Dubai Metro, opened in 2009, is the world's longest fully automated railway, stretching 90 kilometers with dozens of stations. At first glance, it looks like a triumph of modern urban planning. It eases traffic, connects luxury districts, and demonstrates the city's technological ambitions. Yet the system largely caters to tourists and wealthy residents. The majority of Dubai's working-class expatriates live far from metro access and rely instead on overcrowded buses or shared transport. Even within the metro, a tiered system exists, with premium carriages costing more and excluding those who cannot afford them. The result is a transport network that symbolizes progress, but leaves behind the very workers who built the city. And now, as oil wealth begins to decline across the region, the very foundation that has quietly sustained Dubai's rise shows signs of collapse. A storm that may prove far more devastating than unfinished projects or disputed landmarks. Oil's decline and the fragile future. For decades, Dubai has been praised as the Gulf city that moved beyond oil. While its neighbors remained heavily dependent on petroleum, Dubai diversified into tourism, finance, aviation, and real estate. Today, oil contributes only about 7% of its GDP, a fraction compared to the past. At first glance, this appears to be a triumph of foresight, proof that the city planned for a future where fossil fuels would no longer dominate. Yet beneath this narrative of independence lies a more complex reality. Dubai may have reduced its direct reliance on oil, but its economy remains deeply tied to global oil wealth in ways that are harder to see. When oil prices fall, spending slows across the region, and Dubai feels the impact. Luxury real estate sales dip, visitor numbers decline, and financing for mega projects becomes harder to secure. The city's glittering skyline and bold developments are therefore still dependent on the cycles of an industry it claims to have outgrown. In truth, Dubai has not escaped oil. It has simply hidden its dependence behind new industries that are themselves fueled by petroleum wealth. This hidden vulnerability becomes more urgent as the world shifts toward renewable energy. Solar, wind, and electric vehicles are gaining ground at an unprecedented speed, reducing long-term demand for fossil fuels. As major economies commit to phasing out oil, the Gulf's ability to generate wealth on the same scale will diminish. For Dubai, this means less money flowing in from its neighbors, fewer luxury buyers from oil-rich nations, and less capital to finance ambitious projects. The model of growth that once seemed unstoppable begins to look increasingly fragile. At the same time, Dubai faces the direct effects of climate change. Rising sea levels threaten its artificial islands and coastal developments. Extreme heat is becoming more frequent, making outdoor life increasingly difficult. Temperatures that already exceed 50 degrees Celsius in summer will push human endurance to its limits, placing even greater strain on energy and water systems. Water scarcity is another looming crisis. The city depends on desalination plants to provide drinking water, but the process is costly and energy-intensive. worsening the very carbon emissions that fuel climate change. These pressures expose the contradiction of a city that dazzles the world with spectacle while ignoring the ecological limits around it. Dubai also masks its fragility through strict laws and social control. It is often ranked among the safest cities on Earth, with crime rates far lower than many Western metropolises. Yet this safety comes not from deep-rooted social cohesion, but from enforcement. Expatriates, who make up 85% of the population, can be deported for even minor offenses. The fear of losing work and being forced to leave creates a society that appears orderly but rests on instability. Workers comply not because they feel integrated, but because their future depends on silence. The model produces short-term calm while leaving long-term cracks unaddressed. Dubai is undeniably a marvel of ambition, a place that turned desert sands into a global symbol of possibility. Yet, the very traits that built its success, relentless growth, spectacle-driven development, and dependence on external wealth, could also define its decline. The world now watches to see whether Dubai will adapt to the new realities of a changing planet and shifting economy, or whether its shimmering skyline will one day stand as a reminder of how unchecked ambition can collapse under its own weight. Will Dubai adapt and survive, or will its glittering towers stand as monuments to a fallen dream? Share your thoughts in the comments.